Hey everyone, my name's Shane. I'm a big baseball fan and I love to talk about pitching. I love to pitch myself, and I'm going to talk about five guys who I think are going to break out at the major league level this year on the mound. I am looking at breakouts as guys that are going to put up an ERA plus of 100 or better. None of these guys have done it before in their career. Very young guys, so I expect to accomplish a lot this 2023 major league season. So let's jump right into it. Number five. Let's go. My number five guy is going to be Dodgers pitcher Ryan Pepiot. Now, Pepiot is starting the season on the injured list. He was expected to start in the rotation for the Dodgers. He got dinged up. I expect him back sooner rather than later, but he is a guy who I think, even if he has to transition back to AAA, come back to the majors, maybe even see some innings in the bullpen, Pepiot is a guy who I'm really big on this season if he can control the strike zone. He's had some issues in the past with the control. But what I love about Pepiot is the fastball. You take a look at some of the numbers here. His spin rate with his fastball is in the 84th percentile. And what I absolutely love for a big guy, he has a lot of extension. He really reaches out there with the ball and extends that delivery, which is going to essentially create perceived velocity with the fastball. He's going to release the ball closer to home plate, which means the ball has to travel a shorter distance, and that's going to look like his fastball is even faster. That's going to help him out with his changeup and his slider as well to create more break and deception. So I think Pepiot has a real chance of having a lot of success for the Dodgers. If he gets a bunch of starts, I think he could have a huge season if he's healthy. If he's a little dinged up or has to spend some time in AAA or in the bullpen, I think he can still be very successful there. The question will be throwing strikes out of the bullpen in particular to see if he can be successful. But I think there is a lot to like about Ryan Pepiot this season for the Dodgers. So I expect him to break out as my number five guy. Number four on my list is a guy I'm very high on. It's young pitcher Josiah Gray. Yes, he's pitched for the Nationals. No, he's not going to win a lot of games because, let's be honest, the Nationals are not going to be very good this year. But I think Josiah Gray has the opportunity to really improve himself as a pitcher this year. There's a lot to like about his delivery. There's a lot to like about his stuff. I think he's had some trouble in getting hit hard when maybe he shouldn't be hit as hard. When you take a look at his baseball savant page, start looking at the numbers, he was in the sixth percentile in barrel percentage, meaning guys hit him hard a lot. His walk rate was extremely poor in terms of 17th percentile. So he has to throw more strikes. And more importantly, looking at that, his chase rate is so poor. He has to develop the ability to look and throw a pitch that looks more strike to ball. He's throwing too many uncompetitive pitches. But as a young guy developing, I think this is where he can take a step and understand how he needs to deliver his pitches and where they need to finish in and out of the zone. It's not always about throwing strikes. A lot of times now in major leagues, with that break in those pitches, it's about making a pitch look like a strike and having it dart one way or the other and finishing out of the zone and get chase rates. You look at some of the numbers of Josiah Gray, the guy had such a high number in terms of expected batting average against, and his batting average that actually played out was even higher than that. So he hit in a lot of bad luck as well. Guys got some contact on pitches that probably shouldn't have, and he got knocked around a bit that way. I think there's going to be improvement this year with his delivery. You're going to see more pitches closer to around the zone as he figures this out at the major league level. So I think Josiah Gray has a real opportunity to bust out with the Nationals. Maybe not in terms of wins, but in terms of performance. My number three guy to bust out this season is Cincinnati Reds starting pitcher Nick Lodolo. Now, Nick Lodolo had some very impressive performances at the end of last season. He's a young guy coming up and trying to establish himself at the major league level. Top prospect for sure for the Cincinnati Reds with a ton of talent. Now, there are some numbers that are very good we saw from Lodolo at the end of last season, and some that can certainly be improved upon to really take his game to the next level for the Reds. Taking a look at those StatCast numbers, he had a whiff rate in the 81st percentile, K rate in the 86th percentile. Those are massive numbers. So he has the talent and the ability to both elevate with the fastball and spin those curveballs to get a lot of strikeouts. The issue with Lodolo is when he has given up contact, it's been very hard contact, and his walk rate is not very good. He needs to be closer to the zone more often. Not in the zone necessarily, But he has to get those pitches that, again, just like Josiah Gray, he needs more strike to ball pitches where he's going to get more chase rate. He's going to up the chase rate, which will lower the walk rate. And more importantly, it's going to keep the ball off of the barrel of the bat. And that will really help his performance this year, get more soft contact. Yes, he's a strikeout type of guy, but the ability to induce soft contact is even more important at the major league level than it has been in the past with these rule changes. So I expect Lodolo to continue to perform. I especially love when he elevates the fastball and then can throw that big sweeping curveball off of that pitch in the same tunnel. So you're basically diving up and down, and it really changes the batter's eyes, and you just don't know what you're going to get. But he needs to effectively throw those pitches around the edges of the zone and avoid the middle and that hard contact, which is going to hurt. My number two guy is a Miami Marlin, and that's a newly acquired Miami Marlin in reliever AJ Puck. I think AJ Puck has all kinds of talent. He just wasn't able to establish himself in Oakland because of injuries. And they moved him to kind of being a multi inning reliever last year, and he found quite a bit of success doing that. I think the move to Miami is going to do wonders for Puck's career because he can become an established quality left-handed arm out of the bullpen. In fact, I think by the end of the year, the Marlins will have closer AJ Puck. And when you take a look at the StatCast numbers, you really understand why. A fastball is the 90th percentile in terms of velocity. Same idea with extension, 96th percentile. So that long arm is coming at you with big time heat. And the big thing is, Puck can now focus as a reliever on two pitches: fastball, slider. That's all he's going to need as a reliever. That high end, high quality fastball and that spinning slider, hard slider that AJ Puck throws. He might be able to adapt it and form it a little bit more, get more of a sweeping action to it rather than that hard slider, hard tight one that he normally throws. You can kind of bail out on other pitches like the curveball and changeup that he would have needed as a starter, as a reliever. Now established, I think, as a quality bullpen arm. It's all about fastball, slider. And when you focus on that, those other pitches were pitches he got burned on a lot. So hopefully by changing the repertoire to focusing only on the two, you're going to decrease the barrel rate. You're going to decrease the hard hit rate. He already gets a ton of strikeouts. So look for those quality offerings to elevate AJ Puck to being a breakout pitcher this year for the Marlins. My number one breakout pitcher this year is going to be starting pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller found a whole new groove towards the end of last season because he changed his repertoire. He decreased the use of the four-seam fastball, he increased the use of the two-seam fastball sinker combination, and he busted out a sweeper. One of those big sweeping slider curveball type mixes that was far more effective for him at the end of last season. Mitch Keller in the second half of last season was phenomenal for the Pirates. His ERA was dropping down into the threes. And I expect more from Mitch Keller. He understands the repertoire now. The mix of four-seam, two-seam fastball to go along with that sweeper, it just has more break, more horizontal break, rather than that true 12 to 6 curveball he's been known for in the past. That pitch used to get hit hard a lot. His changeup get hit hard a lot. He's ditched the changeup. The curveball is basically non-existent for him now. And that horizontal sweeping slider, sweeper, whatever you want to call it, combined with those fastballs and the tunneling action where you get the sweeper going one way, the two-seam sinker going the other way. You elevate with the four-seam fastball, and it makes Mitch Keller a much more difficult pitcher to hit against, where you have the ball scattering rather than his pitches being very straight in the past. You look at his baseball savant numbers. You take a look, the fastball velocity is good. The fastball spin rate is very good. You can curve the curveball spin, so the ability to spin that sweeper is very good. Now he's going to get more chases, up the chase rate. He's going to be around the strike zone more. That will increase the whiff rate as well. And the barrel rate was never terrible. 52nd percentile, right in that middle of the league. If he can decrease that a little bit, be around the zone a little bit more, create that movement, get more strikeouts and soft contact, and Mitch Keller has the ability to really succeed in the major leagues as the ace for the Pittsburgh Pirates that everybody was worried he was going to flame out. I think he's going to be a huge talent for the Pirates this season. There you have my 5 pitchers I expect to break out this season. Make sure you go check out my 5 hitters that I expect to break out this season, and come check out 3 Up, 3 Down for all kinds of predictions and all kinds of baseball content. Make sure you comment down below who you think is going to break out this Major League season. Till next time, take care, everyone.